Bienvenue! Welcome to DrupalCon. Thank you everyone for being here. It's so wonderful to see friends and old faces in the Drupal community with kindness in their eyes and warmth in their hearts, and new faces with excitement to be here, to learn, and to become part of our community. And we're so grateful to have you. My name is Tim Lennon. I'm Hestenet on Drupal.org. I'm the Chief Technology Officer of the Drupal Association. The Drupal Association is the nonprofit foundation that supports the global Drupal project and community, and we rely on your support. Please come to our booth in the exhibit hall to learn more about becoming an individual member, a certified partner, or a sponsor of future events. It's my privilege to be your MC for the opening ceremony today. I want to do a series of thank yous to everyone involved who made Drupal possible. Drupal events are not like regular technology conferences. We do this in a true spirit of open source, in a true spirit of community, and it is always wonderful to be together. So I want to start with some thank yous. First, to my colleagues at the Drupal Association. Thank you. Thank you so much. The Drupal Association is a small but mighty team with staff in the US, Europe, and India supporting Drupal.org, community programs, and partnerships. There are so few of us that we often feel outnumbered by the scope of the community, the size of the Drupal ecosystem, and then we remind ourselves of the impact we can have on so many people, on so many lives, on so many businesses, and it makes us very proud of the work that we can do, and we appreciate your support to make that possible. I also want to thank the members of the Drupal Association board. These are leaders from the community who come from all walks of life. They might be agency leaders, they might be representatives from end users in higher education or government. They might be from outside communities who are coming to learn what Drupal is about and bring their knowledge and share their experience. And there are, of course, the community elected board members as well. They bring their expertise and the generous gift of their time to support the Drupal Association, to support Drupal, and to support the community. So if you see any of these faces of staff or board members throughout the conference, feel free to say hello, to tell us about your Drupal journey and what you see for the future so that we can think about that as we plan for the years ahead. I also want to thank a couple of our board members whose terms are coming to an end. According to our bylaws, we have certain limits on how long people can remain on the board, but they've done wonderful things to serve the community, to serve us. And so several board members' terms are coming to the end at the end of this month. So I want to take a moment to share some specific thank yous. For the first two members of the board that I'd like to thank, I tried very, very hard to find the most professional, business-like, buttoned-up photos that I could. So here we go. Mike Herschel is one of our two community-elected board members, has helped bring the voice of the community throughout his term, has brought heart, has brought the perspective of the front end, of the individual site builder, of someone who's been in the contribution trenches for years and years and years, and we really thank him for his service to the community. And Ryan as well has been a staunch advocate of Drupal, supporter of the association even before his term on the board, and has always challenged us to think differently in our board conversations and to find the way to do the best for Drupal. So thank you again to both of you. I also have a very special thank you to Batty, our board chair. She's reached the maximum consecutive terms that are allowed under the Drupal Association bylaws, or else we would be stealing her away for even longer, and I'm sure we're going to find some way to do that. But she has been incredible with compassionate leadership, kindness, care for the community, care for the staff, truly representing everything that it means to be part of Drupal Association leadership and to fulfill the mission that we want to meet. So if you'd like to learn a little bit more about the Drupal Association board and leadership and what's happening next, or if you'd like to say a hello or a thank you to any of these board members, please join us at the public board meeting that's on the agenda for this week. Now, thank you again. That's right. Thank you, Batty. Thank you so much. Now, I'd also like to thank Kuoni. So the staff are here. They're scattered around. They're working so hard to deliver this event. And I want to give a tremendous thanks to the entire Cooni team for being our partners in presenting DrupalCon in Europe. Cooni has been the Drupal Association's partners in creating DrupalCon Europe since 2019. And they're not just an event company, they're a true part of our community. Many of you out there probably don't realize how closely integrated they are into our community spaces, in Drupal Slack, in volunteer committees, talking with folks on site, all of these things in ways that are really representative of who we are as a community. What could be just another technology conference is done in the Drupal way, in close collaboration with community and volunteers. So thank you to the Cooni team. There's too many people to thank. It's going to take a while. Hang in there. I also really want to thank the volunteers. This week is not possible without the dozens, if not hundreds of volunteers, people who are members of the advisory board and track committees, all of these folks, but also many of you in the audience who are volunteers on site, speakers, mentors. So if you could stand up if you're volunteering at the event today, just very briefly, or raise your hand and wave, I'd like everyone to give you all a round of applause. We are so grateful for what you do. Open source is only possible through a community coming together, doing what is larger than any single organization can do, and these volunteers show that spirit in how they show up to DrupalCon every day and make that happen. Of course, we must thank our sponsors for the event. Another way that DrupalCons are very special is that our sponsors are also true members of our community. They have experts on staff presenting amazing sessions. They're contributing back to key strategic initiatives in Drupal, and they're providing information and education and resources to people out there who are wondering what Drupal is all about and if it is the right solution for them. So please join me again in thanking all of the sponsors of this event, all of the people that you will see in the expo hall throughout the day. Please go say hello, ask what they're all about, and see what you can be a part of. Thank you again to all of our sponsors. We're getting close, I promise. We also need to thank the certified and supporting partners of the Drupal Association. So beyond just sponsoring, say, a single DrupalCon or a series of camps, certified and supporting partners support all of the programs that the association does around the world and throughout the year. And this can include everything from keeping Drupal.org online, helping to pay the staff salaries, ensuring that we can come to camps and learn more directly from regional communities, and of course things like putting on this event and more. So please join me in thanking the certified and supporting partners, many of the folks who employ all of you. We're so grateful to have you here. Thank you. And lastly, at least for now, there will probably be more applause throughout this presentation, but for the moment, thank you, all of you, the attendees here today, who have come out to join us, who have come to a growing event, a vibrant event in Europe that's getting bigger and bigger year over year. We're really grateful to have you being here to be part of this wonderful event. If you're a veteran, I encourage you to find someone new, to welcome them, to show them the true spirit of DrupalCon, what it's all about, what the phrase hallway track really means. So please, thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for your support. Okay, some housekeeping for the week. Maybe not super exciting, but still crucially important. As many of you know, the COVID-19 safety policy for this week is that masks are welcome, but not required. There are free masks and COVID tests available at registration while supplies last. And if you do feel unwell, please do test. Let the staff know if you test positive. But otherwise, generally speaking, just be safe, be respectful of each other, and take care of each other. And we thank you very much for your attention to that. I also want to give a reminder of the DrupalCon Code of Conduct. Our Code of Conduct was built in an open source way based on some amazing work in other communities, and since it was created, it has been used further by communities who look to DrupalCon as a premier open source event of a way to foster and take care of community. We're really proud of the Code of Conduct. If at any point you feel uncomfortable or unsafe, find a Drupal Association staff member, go to the registration desks. We'll ensure to get you to a safe place, understand the problem, and find a solution. So please reach out to us if you have any concerns. Finally, the photo policy. A quick reminder, we're all wearing lanyards on our badges, and we encourage you to take and share photos, to get excited, to show off everything that's happening here at DrupalCon. Just if someone is wearing a red lanyard and you see them in that photo, don't post that one. They've requested not to have their photo shared. That's what those red lanyards mean. So just photography with consent. Lastly, if you haven't done it already, you'll find it very useful, if not necessary, to download the event app. So you can find it at any of these places, App Store, Play Store, the HTML5 version. Use the event code Drupal23, and that's going to be really important. It'll let you evaluate sessions, keep track of the schedule, all sorts of things. Speaking of which, that'll help you do the final general conference survey to tell us how we're doing and what you'd like to see in future DrupalCons, and again, to provide feedback that we can aggregate and tell our speakers and let them know what we want to do for next year. Now, I have a bittersweet responsibility with all of you this morning. We want to take some time to remember some members of our European community who have recently passed away. These are people whose heart was always with the community, and we remember them together fondly. The first that we want to remember is Hagen Graf. He authored one of the first ever books about Drupal. It was in German, but the translation of the title, Community Websites with Drupal 4.7. I don't know how many people in the room used Drupal all the way back then, but it was kind of a watershed moment, this notion that, oh, Drupal's not just a hobby project. It's something that people are publishing books internationally about how to build community. Hagen contributed to Drupal for 18 years. In addition to writing one of the first books, he attended 14 Drupal events, going back to the very first in 2005, and was one of the earliest people in building the culture of mentorship and contribution in our community. If you would like to share any memories or see the memories being shared by others, there is actually a website that his friends and family have created, hagengraf.love, and we encourage you to check it out and share. Most of all, Hagen was a builder of software, of books, home renovations, and most importantly, a builder of community, which is something that we carry through today. Now, I have another memorial for today, one more. And for that, to remember Frank de Roche, I'd like to invite up to the stage Sylvain Moreau to speak to his colleague and friend.
Thank you so much, Tim. How do you do that? Hello, everyone, and thank you for listening. The picture you see was taken in 2009 in DrupalCon Paris. And the person you see with long hair on the left-hand side is Frank de Roche, one of my best friends and our CTO, or former CTO at Access. Frank was planning to attend this DrupalCon Lille because he would rarely go to cons and camps, but this one was special since 2009, Paris. And Copenhagen, 2010, he never returned to DrupalCon in IRL, in real life. Frank suddenly left us this year in June, and we, his Drupal friends and his colleagues, we wanted to pay him this tribute in Lille in order not to forget his contribution to Drupal. What did Frank do for us? You have to remember that he contributed to Drupal for 17 years, one less than Hagen. And we used to say about him that he could see through the matrix because he knew everything you need to know about Drupal, the core of the modules. He maintained and he co-maintained so many modules. I invite you to look at his profile page. He's been credited to so many issues, including core issues. He made so many posts, including discussions in Drupal.org. He also mentored so many people online and offline. He was really a mentor for many people. I think that many people in this room have maybe been mentored by Frank. And to remember one of his great achievements in Drupal, he brought Scald module. Remember in Drupal 7 there was a media module which was called Scald. He brought it to life, and then he helped bringing media entity into core in Drupal 8.4, I remember. And most of all, I want to remember him as a really OSS advocate, because his life was built around open source. So thank you, Frank. He will always be missed, and we, his colleagues, wanted to remember him. So now I can hand it back to Tim, and thank you for listening to this tribute.
Thank you, everyone. And thank you for those heartfelt remembrances, and for the others that you may share as you go to either the website or speak with colleagues who knew either of these contributors, Hagen or Frank. Loss is a reminder that we must appreciate what we have. And in that spirit, I want to celebrate two more community members today who are still with us, who are alive and well, who are here, in fact. And truthfully, there are too many people I want to celebrate. And throughout this conference, I encourage you to pause for a moment and think about the bigger picture. Think of someone in the community who has impacted your life and say thank you. Now, two that I want to thank today are both individuals that have been on Drupal.org for more than 20 years and have been tireless servants of the community. The first is Gabor. I think just about everybody knows him. He has helped, I'm not even sure I have to say any words. He has helped so many people to become a part of Drupal. He has helped so many local communities. He was part of the group that organized Drupal Europe in the gap year when it was a difficult financial situation for the Drupal Association. And he has been a coordinator of coordinators to make great things happen in Drupal. And I'm just incredibly grateful in my role as a CTO, but also incredibly grateful just to have Gabor as a friend. Thank you. My next thank you, I would like to thank Neil Drum on the Drupal Association engineering team. Many of you will know him as well. He has been, in some ways, a sort of single-handed maintainer of the developer tools that have brought Drupal across this 20-year journey, frankly, and to where they are today. Oddly enough, until our most recent hire on the engineering team, I was actually one of the last people we hired, and I've been there 9 years. And Neil's been there forever from the beginning, both in the community, but really as a sort of servant of the contributors to Drupal and ensuring that they have the tools that they need. And again, both professionally and personally, I'm very grateful, and I wanted to take a moment to say thank you. And this leads me to talking about building community a little bit. Drupal is a global community. We're a group of people that collaborate across national borders and boundaries. And for many people in our community, this is a difficult time. Whether in Ukraine, Israel, Palestine, Haiti, Yemen, Myanmar, Ethiopia, even, unfortunately, in the last few days here in France or in neighboring Belgium, there is a lot of conflict across the world. And we as a global community who understand international collaboration, I think we all hope for peace and for justice for all of our communities. Now, we cannot address all of the ills of the world, and we cannot be arrogant enough to say that open source software will somehow solve all social problems. And that's not our mission as the association or as the community. But we can be part of building an open web, a better web, as one small part in this larger whole of creating a better and more open world. Now, let's get more specific. Let's bring this down to earth a little. I'd like to talk just about the larger ecosystem briefly that Drupal is a part of. If you're not aware, the PHP Foundation was founded in 2021. And you might think to yourself, wait, that's so far after Drupal. Surely PHP must have had support for years and years and years. But the truth is that the underlying language that powers such a large part of the web, including Drupal, has only recently formalized their efforts for support and funding. A group of founding companies banded together in 2021 to create the seed pool of original funding for core and community developers to participate on their board and to help recruit and educate more PHP developers. Niels Alderman, one of the board members of the PHP Foundation, and who's also the co-founder of Packages, the dependency management ecosystem for PHP, is here presenting at DrupalCon this week and also talking about and promoting the PHP Foundation at large. So the PHP Foundation asked me to ask all of you, all businesses relying on Drupal, to follow the example of one of the founding members in the PHP Foundation, Acquia, and nearly 200 other companies who have already stepped forward to support the PHP Foundation, whether that is financially or through contribution. And speaking of contribution to the upstream, in the past, the Drupal project has actually made very significant contributions upstream to PHP. Depending on how you look at the numbers, there's actually sort of more core contribution activity, more core developers, more general contributors in Drupal than in PHP itself. And a lot of the work we do is reflected back in the upstream. In particular, our own testing system has often been so robust that we have caught issues in pre-release versions of PHP, collaborated with the upstream maintainers, and helped get that fixed before the production releases. Creating that better web, not just for Drupal, but for all projects in the PHP ecosystem. Now, speaking of testing, I'm going to take a minute here to brag. You may have seen the news. If you're a code contributor, this is huge. If you're not, I'm sorry. I'll try and explain. Testing. Testing is a huge part of ensuring that we can innovate quickly in Drupal without breaking things, without accidentally regressing backwards. Just in the past weeks, the Drupal Association and a bunch of core contributors and a bunch of community members, more than I can list on this slide, although I've tried to list many of them, have all come together. And as of this week, core testing is 5 times faster on GitLab CI than it was on our homebrew Drupal CI system just 3 weeks ago. What used to take us 50 minutes now takes 10. I've been reading messages on Twitter all week that are like, I can no longer get my coffee before my tests are done. I don't have an excuse to go take a break. And we estimate this is going to save 4,000 developer hours a month of time waiting for results. And just think about what productivity that can create for the project. And that leads me to one of the missions of the Drupal Association, which is fostering better developer experience in general. So as we increased the testing load, made it faster, the usage and the load got higher and higher. And leading up to DrupalCon, things were getting slow, especially in European time zones with lots of contributors. And so literally on Friday, as some of us were flying, I was already in the air, our team, together with our infrastructure partners at Tagman Consulting, lifted and shifted all of our GitLab instances to lightning-fast infrastructure. You've probably already seen it. So all of the rest of the contribution side, merge request opening, all of these things, so much faster than it was before. And I think that'll really empower you this week when you come to contribution. Okay. So there's more coming soon, moves to GitLab issues, improvements to contributor onboarding. Come to the Drupal.org session if you'd like to learn more about these things. And speaking of that, you're invited. You're invited to many things this week, but I want to highlight a few. Let's go on to the fun. Firstly, after the Dries Note, we're going to take our group photo. This is a grand tradition to help us capture these beautiful memories of every con and look at our community over time. Today, that photo will be on sort of the grand staircase by registration. So after the end of the Dries Note, we'll direct you all out there so that we can take that photo together. We also invite you tonight to the opening reception in the expo hall. It'll be a fun time to meet and greet and get together, a time to introduce yourself to new people, to welcome new people into our community, and to make some new friends, and perhaps, again, to pause for a moment and say thank you. There are social events, beloved social events throughout the week. I think none more so than Trivia Night, but there are many, many more. So if you haven't already checked out the website's social events page, I encourage you to do so. There's options, multiple options, every night this week to socialize with the Drupal community. Just maybe don't stay out too late if you have a 9 a.m. presentation, please. All right. You know, from my point of view, contribution is probably the most important part of every DrupalCon. There are contribution events every day of the conference, and especially on Friday. And if you have never contributed before, you are the most invited, most especially wanted to come to these contribution events. There are first-time contributor workshops 3 times this week, as well as mentored contribution on Friday. So I hope we'll see you there. I hope you'll find a buddy with maybe a little bit more experience. Maybe they first contributed last year, and they can help you deepen your engagement with the Drupal community. I've been alluding to this a lot. Why is Pac-Man on the screen? Well, I've invited you to all of these things, but I want to encourage you to invite those around you into whatever you're doing throughout the week. So the Pac-Man rule says when you're standing in a circle with all your old friends and talking, don't exclude the people around you. Leave a space open to welcome someone new into that conversation. Don't close that circle. Okay. I also want to highlight our keynotes this week, some major content. Now, obviously, you're all here for the Dries note. I mean, I assume you've heard of this guy. Yeah? But the founder and project lead of Drupal, Dries, is going to tell us a mysterious and magical tale of Drupal's future. Cue the spooky music. On Wednesday, we actually have quite a lot of content. In the morning, we have the amazing story of 2 global brands and their journey to adopting Drupal. Wednesday afternoon, we'll learn to be fearless leaders from a former combat helicopter pilot and squadron leader, author, speaker. I think it'll be really exciting, really interesting for us. Wednesday also is that Drupal Association public board meeting that I alluded to earlier, which you can attend, come and thank members, see the current business, the slate of incoming members, which might be very interesting to you, and ask your questions. Finally, possibly my favorite keynote, I probably shouldn't pick favorites, but the Drupal core initiative leads will be on stage together to update you on the innovative work in the pipeline for the future of Drupal. Now, I would like to continue from here by inviting the local community that is hosting us, that is helping us be here in this country, the French Drupal Association, to say a few words. Local communities are key to Drupal success. So in their spirit, I'd love to invite Marine and Nicolas of the French Drupal Association to say a few words and also give us some important warnings.
Hi, I'm Marine.
Hello, I'm Nicolas.
I'm the president of the French Association.
And I'm the treasurer of said association. Welcome to France!
Yay!
Okay. That's all I'm capable in English, so we don't speak English. Sorry, bye!
Okay, we're kidding. Disclaimer, this presentation contains gluten and cliches. You're warned. Okay, seriously, let's begin with a few useful words because for real, most French people will not speak English with you. So you need to be able to survive here. Okay, first lesson. Good morning.
Bonjour.
Yeah. Good evening.
Bonsoir.
Good pronunciation over here. Hi, hey.
Salut.
Salut. Ah, almost. Okay. Goodbye.
Au revoir.
Sounded very presidential.
Thank you.
If you want to say please, but a formal way.
S'il vous plaît.
Now you want to say please in a friendly way.
S'il te plaît.
And now you want to say thank you.
Merci.
Can you all say merci? Yeah, thank you too. Now, Nicolas, I think these are all good, but we need also to tell you.
There are big no-nos that we Never say in French.
Never.
No. No.
Omelette du fromage. Please.
No, not ever. No,
No.
definitely not.
No.
No, no. No.
Nobody says that. I had to
Nobody
learn
ever.
how to pronounce it just to say you not to do it. No.
And this one.
I'll never. No, I'm not even saying it. Stop. And just as a woman, we don't. So, no.
No.
Okay. Now that we have the basics, it's time to go to, a bigger lesson on how to survive in France, but also, thrive, get the real French experience. So this is the most useful vocabulary. Anatomy of a baguette.
All right, so
This is a baguette.
when you got a baguette, the first thing you see of the baguette is obviously the crust, la croûte.
La croûte. Okay? This is a golden baguette, so doré. You can have them less cooked, blanche, or more cooked, bien cuite. But yeah, once you cut the baguette, on the inside you have this delicious crumb of the bread, which is la mie de pain.
And when you've cut your bread, you've got these little breadcrumbs everywhere. Those are called les miettes de pain.
Okay. And now for something a bit controversial. The end of the baguette, or the beginning of the baguette, depends on which side you start your baguette, but the round bit has a specific name in French.
So many names, in fact.
Actually, there's so many names that we found at least 8, depending on where you live, in which French-speaking country. But let's say, because we do the presentation, we use our word. So this is called le quignon.
The quignon.
Voilà. We're going to take the quignon for the next the presentation. So, okay, this is really well and all, but maybe it's time for a spooky story.
Yeah.
Halloween is coming up, and so we're going to tell you about the legendary quignon thief. So, every French kid has experienced this. You go to the bakery, you buy a fresh baguette, and by the time you arrive home, the quignon is missing. A true mystery?
True mystery. And you know what?
What?
I've got evidence.
Oh no. Be careful.
Don't touch it
This is
because
a terrible
It's
image.
part of the investigation, but
So, yeah,
definitely, the quignon is
Notice.
missing. You see?
it disappeared on the way. And, we've never solved this.
But, we know for sure now there is one mastermind that is behind all of this, the quignon thief.
The quignon thief. And you must know, no, it's not Carmen Sandiego.
No, but Lil Rooster, just here, don't be fooled by his cute look.
Yeah.
As any French, he can be very fussy when he's angry.
Yeah. Notice the crumbs, les miettes. See? That's important stuff. So, don't panic. We've got this. And for your safety, we've got some guidelines. Do not leave your baguette unattended. Just don't.
Very important. Do not try to catch the quignon thief by yourself.
No, it's too dangerous. If you see the quignon thief and you need help, contact any French, or specifically the blue suspenders team. We know how to deal with him appropriately,
Yeah.
and that is put him back in his little nappy after a little snacky.
Yeah, because during this year, he's been traveling a lot.
Yeah, a lot
so
of work.
He's very tired, and that's why he needs his quignon.
Yeah. He was very busy, and actually, I think some reporters have been following him around, and we have like a video of the trip for you. He's actually done more events than we have. So. Here you can see footage from yesterday evening. He's having a blast, you know? So this is the latest French gathering yesterday evening, French speaking actually, because we had people from Canada and Belgium and Switzerland and France and several African countries that speak French as well. So here is Little Rooster with 80 French-speaking people yesterday evening. We had a blast. And so, yeah, we are very, very happy to have you in France.
Yeah, and I don't know if you think like me, but I think it's very cute and it deserves a rest. And I would like to bring him home with me, but
Yeah.
I think let's give everybody a chance.
Yeah, he needs to retire in a good home.
So there is an auction. The highest bidder is the winner and may return home with Little Rooster.
If you want to adopt him, you have to use the app. You know, the one we told you to install earlier? So that one. There's this little rooster here. I think you cannot miss it. Please bid and know that there are 5 associations to choose from for the winner, and the whole money will go to that association. So you can choose between UNICEF, Drupal Association, Médecins Sans Frontières, Women Who Code, and Girls Who Code. So please do not be shy. Bother your company. Let's find Little Rooster a good home.
And keep a look on your baguette.
Yeah, do not leave the baguette unattended. Thank you. Okay, I'm just saying. And now we would like to invite another celebrity on stage, and that is Baddy, please.
Hello, everyone, and it's not easy to come here after those two, right? I can though say that I'm going to remind you of the closing ceremony that is happening on Thursday evening at 6 o'clock, because we will maybe have a new mascot for next year. Who knows? I will though say that we learned a lot from this one, because it was hard to travel with him or it. And there was like a lot of really amazing things done. So we bought like vacuum packages and like tried to like use the Staubsauger in German. I don't even have the English word for it. But the challenge, there was a big challenge with traveling with this one, but it's going to be a little bit easier next year, I think. But that's not why I'm here. I'm actually here to celebrate women in Drupal. And this is an event or an award that we started last year. This was all initiated by FFW. Thank you to FFW. And it started off, yeah, it's much nicer to have the lights in the audience, actually. It started by FFW and myself and a few people coming together and actually choosing the winners for last year, and we did that in Prague. And now we decided to do it on the big stage, give a little bit more attention to this award, because we want to celebrate our amazing women that we have in the community. We have another award always in the US Con, that's called the Aaron Winborn Award, and we thought that this would be a great opportunity to also highlight some great people in our community here. So I want to welcome on stage my fellow jury members. It's the winners from last year's Drupal, Women in Drupal. It's Surabi, Christina, and Stella. Please come and join me here. And then please take a seat in front of the awards that we are not showing, of course. The names are already on it. So these 3 amazing women won last year, and then they joined the jury, and we are going to do the same now for next year. So they joined the jury, and the process was like this. We also, Kit from FFW, who's going to come here a bit later, she was also part of the jury. And this was a nomination process, so all of you nominated extremely many amazing women in the community. So we received a long list of people, and some names came up again and again and again, But some names we actually, I hadn't heard of those women, and we read about them and we got amazing stories of the contributions that they've been doing to Drupal. So it was not easy. But we looked at these nominations and then we tried to find appropriate winners. And we are really lucky that all of them are actually with us today. So we can actually invite them on stage and everything. So in order to start the Women in Drupal Award, I would like to invite Kit from FFW and give FFW again a big applause for making this happen.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much, Freddy, for the introduction to the rest of the jury, and of course also to the association for having us bringing this very, very, very important topic on the agenda. I'm so proud we are on this stage. I mean, wow. So last year was slightly smaller, but we're moving ahead. So just be careful, the women are coming. So just before I start, I have to say it was so much fun with the baguette. And I also feel like it was very complex, the thing with the baguette. So I'm actually very happy that what I'm going to talk about is super easy to understand. We need more women in technology, and we need more women in Drupal. So basically, that's what it's all about. You are allowed to... Yeah. So last week I was visiting one of our clients, traveling, and they are producing water pumps. I didn't quite understand everything around it, but it was very much about difficult engineering. It was very much about manufacturing quite big and complex solutions. They were founded in 1945, right after the war, and they started being one person, and today there are more than 50,000 globally around the world. I was lucky, so I had one meeting with the CEO. He is also the founder's grandson, so meaning that he knows everything about the company's history. And I asked him sort of what was the most important thing you did in order to grow that fast. And he said, the most important decision we took, that was in 1963, when we invited women to join our workforce, and when we started to actually adding women to our factories, to our production. So he was very keen on this, that was the one thing that changed a lot of things. So why was that important? Was it because, they needed more hands and they were out of men, and then they thought, okay, we'll just go home in the kitchens and find some women, or, how did they come up with that? Basically, maybe that was how it started. But it ended in a very different place, because what they realized was that adding women to the production, to their company, also added a very different dimension, right? They saw things from a different perspective. They had ideas, they contributed with a lot of things that I wouldn't say the men didn't, but they just had a different mindset. So all of a sudden, they started to become much more efficient. They started actually to collaborate and work together in a different way. They made unions, to empower a better workplace. And also, they created a different work culture. So there were a lot of things that happened in the company because of the women being invited to join the party, so to say. I think this can just be a reminder, that in FFW we do spend a lot of time also thinking about, how to really engage women to come into our, not only company, but actually our industry, and also really to change things. And I say we do not employ women just because they're women. We employ them because they're super good at what they do. And we do also do it to secure that we actually represent the society that we are part of, so that our solution can also represent the people that are actually using it. I think there is still a long way to go, unfortunately. I might be lucky enough to live in a part of the world. I'm from Denmark, so maybe we do not have the biggest problem when it comes to this, but I do know from many, many, many of our colleagues around the world, that they struggle still with, how society is built, and, the kids need a mother to stay home and all these kinds of things. And I just want to support each one of you, you can make a career even though you also have a family. I mean, I have 2 kids, it's not a problem. So I encourage really everyone to just, if you're up for it, just go for it. So I think that's sort of the main, isn't it? Like, that's what we want to say today. Let's put a spot on the people that, or the women at least, that really tries hard and do their best to actually also make it in this world that is still dominated by men. You're good at this. Okay, so even though I could speak about this forever, I think you got the point of what I'm trying to say, so maybe we should actually take a very important step towards celebrating the women who sort of have made a difference. Ooh, my Be Kind badge just went down. So it's time not to be kind anymore. No, I think we should spend some time to actually celebrate this year's winners. And to do that, maybe Christina, you would help me on the first award, which is then the Define Award. So I'm going to read out the nominations for this year's winner. And it says, the nominees' focus is on creating sustainable, agile environments that support high-performance, diverse teams using Drupal as a main technology. The nominee and her team are one of the world's leading contributors to the Drupal projects and the community. She is the current secretary of the Drupal Association's Board of Directors. By giving her this award, we would show appreciation to her long-term, above and beyond commitment to the Drupal community and the Drupal projects. Please give a big applause to our winner, Tiffany Ferris.
Here's a mic.
Oh, awesome. So, what do you think, from your perspective, has been the thing that have made you more proud of helping out in Drupal this past year?
I think in the last year, one of the things that Palantir has been working on is Edit Together, which is a collaborative editing suite. And it's kind of a part of our tradition is that we really look for these strategic opportunities of how we might work smarter as a community. So whether it was Workbench originally or then Rector during the pandemic and now Edit Together, we're really interested in finding these win-win-wins, right? Things that help the community, that obviously serve our clients and that are super fun to work on. So finding those kind of triple wins are really big for us. So I'm excited about that.
Nice. You want to add something else?
Yeah, so Tiffany, maybe you can tell us a little bit, what do you actually do?
So I have a lot of hats, like many people in the community. I'm the CEO of Palantir, and as a women-owned business, we are really proud to say that over half of our workforce are women, and we have more representation than many firms because it's been a priority for us. And the women in the company are across every discipline. And I think I'm really proud of that. They're at every level and every discipline. So we really focus on career development and finding ways that people can kind of grow in ways that aren't incompatible with actually having a personal life. So there's that. As you mentioned, I'm the secretary of the Drupal Association, so I wear that hat quite a bit. I'm a community member, so I speak at camps and things like that. And yeah, so I think those are some of the things I do in Drupal.
And your company is, I heard, 27 years old?
27 years old.
Wow,
So I've been
applause for
running-
that.
Yeah.
I see that you also have George, your husband, and your 2 kids here as well, so
Yeah.
thank you for coming.
There's George and Henry.
I heard that Disneyland was awesome.
Disneyland was great. And it's not their first DrupalCon. So I was pregnant with George when I was the chair of DrupalCon Chicago. And Georgie was in Munich, and they were both in Amsterdam and Barcelona as well. So you just bring them with.
Awesome. Hey, so thank you, Tiffany.
Thank you.
And we're going to do a photo. So let's go up here. A little bit more in the light.
Can you carry it?
Yeah, sure. Of course. And the mom might carry everything.
So like, And not to mention, of course, Christina, your contribution has been amazing. So thank you, Christina.
So that was our first award. So moving on to the next one. Surabi, you're going to help me? You were last year's winner of the build category.
Yeah, and maybe before you start, I think maybe you're coming from the furthest away. I know that there's others coming from Australia and maybe New Zealand, but where are you coming from, Surabi?
Any guesses?
I don't know.
So I'm coming from Delhi, India this year, but every time it's a different city.
Okay. And how many Drupal camps have you attended this year?
This year it's second
Second.
in Europe.
Wow. So she's an organizer of Drupal camps and comes on every single camp that she can go to, so thank you for all your contribution.
Thank you.
So I will read out the nominee for the build category for this year. And it says, she is an example to follow and has always been committed to the Drupal community. She does a lot to make the tech world a more inclusive place and bring important matters such as accessibility to the foreground. She's dedicated to make the world a better place for everyone, and I think she should be rewarded. She is the president of the Drupal France Association. Marina, would you come on stage again?
So back on stage, telling good stories.
Yeah. How
So-
about that?
But we are also curious to hear, what do you do in your day job, apart from all the stuff that we've already heard about?
Oh, so I'm supposed to be at the Platform SH booth, but I'm not. 'Cause
Sorry.
I'm too busy with Contrib. But yes, I'm a DevRel engineer for Platform SH. And basically, I just explain what we do, talking to devs as a dev myself, and no marketing pitch. And yeah, I go to conferences, do demos, and just enjoy life.
Very good. So tell us a little bit about the warm-up tour, because you didn't go into so many details. You talked more about where he was going around the world, but you also had a warm-up tour in France.
Yes, so I'm sure many of you like music. I'm a metal fan, and so I just copied what the Hellfest does, which is a huge metal festival in France. They have a warm-up tour with concerts all over the place for the year before, just to get people excited for the actual main event. And so I was like, what about something like that, but with meetups? And so after COVID, which is when I joined the French board, we all had virtual events, but we never really got back to our groove. So I just forced everybody to organize physical events. And yeah, we had 12 events from January to yesterday. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your work and congratulations. And for the photo, right? So we have one more category, I think, Kit.
Yes. So the last one is the scale. And Stella, you're going to help also announce the winner of that one. Stella, you won last year.
And Stella, before we start, we see the big celebration in your booth. By the way, awesome booth.
Thank you very much.
So 15 years.
Yeah, Anertech is celebrating its 15th anniversary this year. So I went to DrupalCon Szeged 15 years ago, met this awesome community that is Drupal, and the following week quit my job and started Anertech. So here we are 15 years later.
Great work. And you're still leading that company today. You're the CEO.
Yep, I'm the CEO.
Oh, great. And you're doing a good job. So great job.
Thank you.
So let's hear who is nominated.
Yeah, I'll read out the nomination of the winner. She's a vibrant member of the Drupal community and brings fresh ideas and a lot of energy into the events she's organizing. Coming from the Ukraine Drupal community and as co-organizer of DrupalCamp Kiev, she is the ambassador of the Drupal community in difficult circumstances. At the same time, she continues to support Drupal by bringing valuable contributions to DrupalCon Europe, and we're proud to have her as part of our community. The winner is Lenny Muskele.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
You need a mic, I think.
Thank you. I'm honored to be on this scene, especially like sharing it with so many absolutely amazing women. It's my honor.
So tell us about your day job and what you're doing in your daily life.
Yeah, I'm project manager. I've been doing that for a good 10 years now, and I think about the same time as I started to do project management, I also was introduced to this, our cozy microcosm of Drupal. So yeah, I'm project manager.
And when the war started in Ukraine, I think you were already organizing the camp, and that camp has obviously not happened. But maybe there is a way to do like a hybrid camp, and we started to talk about that idea. So if there's anybody here in the room that is excited about maybe doing some kind of a hybrid camp and actually do this again, because this is, who went to DrupalCamp Kiev back in the days? Come on, show your hands.
Yay!
Yeah.
Quite a few people. I also see some of the also co-organizers over there.
So that would be an opportunity to work on something new for next year and bring that Drupal camp back to life, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're looking forward to, well, first of all, the community and Ukrainian community, all the support that we are getting from all of you guys, it's amazing, and we couldn't be more grateful. But as well, we want to remind everyone that we are still alive, very much alive, and that we are looking forward to having DrupalCamp Kiev, of course, back in Kiev as soon as possible. But as long as it's not an opportunity and a possibility at the moment, I'm very much sure that we will find the way to meet face to face and to talk in real life very soon.
That's so great, and this is, thank you for that. And for everyone here that is not coding, this is a great opportunity to start work in the community by helping out organizing local events. And I think that that's where most of us actually started to do things, apart from the code contribution and all that. So great opportunity for everyone in here that wants to join, come and talk to us, and we can start.
Absolutely. Thank you, buddy.
So for the photo, right? Yeah. Yeah, now, yeah.
And one more time, let's invite all of the winners of the awards this year on stage with the jury members for a final photo, and maybe even a selfie, I don't know.
So great, thank you.
Turn around, crowd.
No, don't go away. Oh no, there's a selfie with all of them.
Everybody behind.
Oh, there's the selfie.
Can we get one more round of applause in the background here?
Yes. Thank you. So Tim, we have 15 minutes until Keynotes.
Yeah, we do. We've got a little bit of time.
So we were just thinking about inviting people to just stand up and move and...
Yeah, we'll have a very brief sort of intermission here, a chance for you to stretch your legs a little bit, maybe say hello to your neighbors. If you do decide to leave the theater for the moment, please make sure you're back in your seats 5 minutes before the start time. The start time is 1:30, so we've got about 15 minutes to go. But again, thank you very much for all of your attention and participation throughout the opening ceremony, and we'll rejoin shortly for the Keynote.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I hope the short break was refreshing. Thank you so much. I want to thank you again. We hope over the course of the next 4 days you build new connections, you're inspired to innovate Drupal, and that you join us in creating a better web. Oh, did you want something else? Is there more? Okay, well, if you wanted more, without further ado, please welcome Jennifer Griffin-Smith of Acquia to introduce what you have all been waiting for, the Dries Note.
Hi, everyone. Nice to be here. Wasn't that an amazing opening session? I feel like I'm educated about baguettes and I'm so inspired by the amazing women in Drupal. Congratulations on the award winners. That was so cool to see. So it's great to be here. As the single largest contributor of Drupal, Acquia is immensely proud to be a diamond sponsor of DrupalCon Lille. Thank you to the Drupal Association for putting on such an amazing community event. We really love to be here. We would love to see you all. We'd love to get to meet you all. There are some amazing giveaways, and we have our Acquia branded Converse. We'll be giving some of those away too, so please stop by. We'd love to see you all. At Acquia, our mission is to help you and everybody possible to be able to build the most productive, the most inclusive, and the most safe digital experiences for all our users. And that is why I'm so proud this morning to get to introduce the next keynote. So without further ado, let me welcome to the stage your founder, our Chief Technology Officer and Chief Strategy Officer, Dries.
Bonjour, comment ça va? Some of you might not know, but being born in Belgium, I do speak a little bit of French, not a lot. But unfortunately, I moved to the US about 12 years ago, and my French got quite rusty. And I felt it this morning when some people came up to me and started rattling to me in French. You're definitely welcome to do that. I think I will understand 95% of what you say, but I might not be able to respond in French back to you. But you're always welcome to come talk to me in French. It will be good exercise. The opening remarks were remarkable. I loved all of the celebrations. It was touching. It was inspiring, all of these things. And talking about celebrations, the last time I was in Lille was actually a few years ago, and I was here to celebrate my birthday, my 40th birthday, believe it or not, with some dear friends. And while I was in Lille, and we strolled through the streets of Lille, I saw an old bookstore. And inside the bookstore, I stumbled upon this mysterious book that you see on the screen. And it was a book with something oddly familiar about its cover, right? It looked to be about Drupal. And so I picked up a copy of the book, and what I would like to do today is actually read you a few chapters of the book. What do you think? Yeah? All right, so it's going to be a special Dries note, a little bit different. than anything I've ever done, but I'm going to be essentially your narrator, reading a book to you. We'll see how that goes. All right, let's go. It all started like most great book starts. So once upon a time, there was a CMS called Drupal. And it might not look it, but Drupal had magical powers. Drupal was a shapeshifter that could take any form, and it was incredibly flexible and powerful, and it could adapt to every people's needs and desires. And there was also the Drupal village. It was a quaint village full of ambitious homes and big dreams. And the villagers, equally ambitious, had built these homes in the Drupal village. And there were homes of all sizes, both big and quite small, from tiny apartments to chateaux that enthrall. From every turret to tower, each home had its own special superpower. And from a cozy, simple cottage to an ornate estate, each home was crafted with care, every detail deliberate and great. And regardless of size or shape, each brick, each beam, and joint was placed with a commitment to lasting stability and great attention to detail. Their sturdy walls exuded robustness and safety. And in these cleverly engineered homes, walls moved and roof lines expanded effortlessly. No renovation was impossible or too hard. And this allowed homes to be adapted and expanded to each new chapter of the villagers' lives. And the Drupal village thrived thanks to its diverse villagers, each contributing their own unique points of view. And each home melded form and function to meet the various needs of the villagers. But there was an even bigger positive to the village of Drupal. There were frequent town hall meetings, and everybody had a say. And these meetings ensured that each villager had a voice. From the seasoned elder to the young novice, everyone was invited. It was a community where teamwork reigned supreme. And residents enjoyed owning their homes and were free to come and go as they pleased. They had boundless freedom, with the liberty to roam and return at will. You see, everything in the Drupal villages could be summed up in 8 words. Creativity, flexibility, scalability, accessibility, collaboration, empowerment, security, and freedom. But not everything was perfect in Drupal village. While the homes of Drupal village were stunning, building them wasn't always easy. Villagers, surrounded by a sea of tools and materials, often found themselves confused. Building a home could sometimes spiral into a labyrinth of choices and challenges. And it wasn't just that. The tools, while capable, had complex features. Their intricate functions perplexed many villagers. And the complexity got in the way of villagers building their dreams. Luckily, everybody took great care of their homes, but upkeeping their homes was hard and tiring work. Demands of upkeep often soared high. And as Drupal walked among the villagers, grumblings of dissatisfactions were growing. Things aren't moving fast enough. Things are too complex. The villagers, loving yet longing, hoped for a change, an easier way to build and take care of their homes. And Drupal always wanted to make life easier of the villagers and felt sad knowing that not all villagers were happy, because Drupal had tried and tried, but it still was not enough. And then one morning, while touring the Drupal village, Drupal came across a group of builders working on a home. Many of them young builders, full of promise and ideas. These were the future of the village, these young builders. And one of the young builders looked restless. His gaze was beginning to drift towards the bright lights of nearby villages. He was curious about the promise of other ways of building, perhaps easier ways to build. And then Drupal watched, heart aching, as a promising young builder abruptly rose and left the village he had lovingly helped build. He was headed towards a neighboring village. And Drupal couldn't help but wonder if the other villages were truly as promising as they appeared to be. And driven by this curiosity, Drupal chose to head out on a quest, determined to uncover the mysteries of these other villages. And that brings us to the start of Quest 1. Shall we continue? Yeah? All right. All right, so Drupal is going to visit some other villages. So let's do that. So, upon entering the town immediately next door, Drupal marveled at the intricacies of its houses. The village buzzed with a trendy and hip vibe. Each street told tales of energetic crafting and innovative minds. And Drupal noticed that the townfolk were all wearing eye-catching hats, dazzling with colors and patterns, their gestures and conversations echoing the latest trends. And the townfolk appeared to constantly react to whatever was in fashion. Drupal felt a little bit out of place. And Drupal asked one of the villagers, "Which town is this?" It was the town of Reactopia. Yeah. And look, there is the mayor of Reactopia. He looks a little bit handmade. He seemed to have cast a spell over the residents of Reactopia, and they were known as reactionaries. And due to the spell, they blindly embraced whatever was in vogue. Anyway, Drupal was initially impressed with their homes and their buildings, until going inside one of those buildings. On the inside, their homes were surprisingly sparse and very complex. The apartments were missing modern conveniences like an elevator or a dishwasher. Everything had to be done by hand. The houses seemed to require a lot of hard manual labor, which was a surprise, given their glamorous appearances on the outside. And in fact, Drupal noticed that residents had to hire help to keep up with all the chores. And Drupal, while absorbing the lively spirits of Reactopia, couldn't help but notice a certain familiarity in their challenges. Many of the problems they were solving had already been solved in Drupal's village. They had even been automated, ensuring convenient everyday living. And unlike in Reactopia, where this wasn't the case, so Drupal left Reactopia and he headed out to the next village, hoping to learn some new things. Approaching the next place, Drupal saw structures of canvas, not brick. The village was made of tents, not houses. And getting even closer, the homes had an alluring simplicity and seemed really easy to move into. In fact, each new resident was gifted a starter kit for their tent, and with it, user-friendly tools simplifying their settlement. And somehow, it came with a plate of Swedish meatballs too. More curious than ever, Drupal approached a local villager and asked, "What do you call this place?" It was the encampment of Contentville. But beneath the charming veneer, a stark reality lingered. Every plot, every tent was owned by a single landlord. Villagers lived at the mercy of Lord Contentless, which you can see on the screen. And while passing through, Drupal happened upon an old friend gazing out of one of the tents. And Drupal asked her why she chose to live there. And she responded, "The quick setup and initial freedom was enticing," she answered. But the friend also confessed, "When Lord Contentless raised the rent and I wanted to move out, I was trapped in my own home. I couldn't move." Truly, she looked rather discontented. Continuing along the journey to the next city, Drupal's heart felt heavy, and Drupal wondered how to best assist his friends. How could Drupal Village be made more easy to move into and build in, yet without holding villagers hostage? In the next village, Drupal noticed that the homes had square-like appearance. They were like little blocks, almost identical. Yet moving in seemed easy as pie. The houses even came fully furnished. It was the suburb of Squarix. Look, there are the two owners. And upon closer look, Drupal realized that all the houses followed the same pattern. 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and they all looked like they had popped out of the same design store. They even had the same floor plans. On the bright side, there was a silver lining. Home maintenance happened like clockwork. This was thanks to the whimsical, magical maintenance fairies, who whisked in and fixed homes automatically. Squarix was quite the enchanting place indeed. Leaving Squarix, Drupal was enchanted by the thought of maintenance fairies. Their magical touch left a lasting impression. How nice would it be to have some of those taking care of updates in Drupal's own village? Drupal then approached a place with some very large, very grand homes. Clearly, some very famous lords and ladies lived here. Eventually, Drupal found someone who was willing to chat. And Drupal asked, "What is this place called?" It was the gated community of Adobe Heights. Everything looked gilded in gold. And Drupal saw the Duke of Adobe Heights pass by, a glimmer of greed in his eyes. And a resident came upon, could not stop talking about how great life was in Adobe Heights. He talked, and he painted this picture of how scalable and how breathtaking the interior design was, and how the conveniences were state-of-the-art. And privately, Drupal wondered how necessary 6 golf courses really are. But as the man spoke of these luxuries, Drupal could spot a hint of sadness in his eyes, and Drupal asked, "Why are you looking sad?" The villager sighed and complained. "Every change or extension costs a small fortune and takes forever to build. My home is not even complete. I poured my life savings into living here, but now I find myself with nothing left." And upon leaving the last village, Drupal was conflicted. Each of the villages had major flaws, yet Drupal could see why the young builder was drawn to them. All right, and so I'm going to step out of the story for a second, but by exploring the different villages, we actually learned quite a bit, right? We learned that React is very manual and not marketer-friendly, but that developers adore it, and that it's definitely in fashion, I would say. We also learned that Contentful suffers from proprietary vendor lock-in. It's something that I think a lot of people seem to forget. But on the bright side, it's easy to get started with Contentful. I think that's what draws a lot of people to it. We learned that Squarespace and Wix come with limitations, yet they're incredibly user-friendly for building, and regardless of technical skill, really. And don't forget those magical maintenance fairies or automatic updates. You don't have to really go and update software. And then lastly, with Adobe, sorry, I'm one click behind. With Adobe, while they can be very expensive, they certainly pack a powerful punch in terms of capabilities as well, right? So, in a moment of profound revelation, Drupal grasped the key to prosperity. To make Drupal Village thrive, the builder experience must be nothing short of exceptional. Easier to start, easier to build, and easier to maintain. And with this vision in mind, and recognizing the gravity of the moment, Drupal summoned the finest craftspeople around to gather in a nearby atelier or workshop. I think it was called a WeWork. And so the first order of business was to make it easier to get started. And this obviously is where Project Browser comes in, one of our strategic initiatives. I spoke about Project Browser in previous Dries notes. I'm not going to cover it in great detail here, but I recommend you go check out the recording of the previous Dries note, for example, where it had videos and all kinds of things. There's also a long blog post that we wrote on the topic, so I recommend you can check that out as well. I would say the Project Browser initiative is well underway. The code freeze for Drupal 10.2, which is our next sort of release, is in November, and we're not quite sure if we can make it for that. So most likely, Project Browser will become stable and part of Drupal core in Drupal 10.3, which would be next summer. All right. Continuing with unwavering determination, Drupal and the craftspeople embarked on the second part of the promise, making our tools easier to use. And the goal was clear, to empower villagers with intuitive instruments. And for that, I have a few videos. I'm going to introduce the first craftsperson, and he's going to give an update as a video recording, and that is Tim Plunkett. And Tim will talk about the improvements that we're making to Drupal's content modeling capabilities, also known as the field UI in Drupal speak. So let's watch the video together.
Hi, I'm Tim Plunkett, an engineering manager at Acquia's Drupal acceleration team, here to talk to you about usability improvements made to Drupal's field UI. The field UI is how Drupal site builders implement their site's content model. In January, our team sought to better understand the user flow when users implement a content model, and what specific pain points contribute to the perception that Drupal is hard to use. We began with user research, completing the first round in February, and after analyzing and summarizing the feedback, we began work on two specific areas. The first area is the flow when adding a new field. In current Drupal sites, adding a new field starts with navigating to a new page and selecting a new field type from a select list. Your new field is immediately created and available to content authors, but it is created before you are able to configure it, so you have to proceed through two additional steps to do so. In the new flow, instead of a new page, a modal is open, with a grid of available field types to choose from. Those field types are grouped and better explained thanks to new icons and descriptions. An additional improvement I'd like to call attention to is an increase in the speed of machine name generation that not only improves the field UI, but all places where machine names are used in Drupal. From there, you stay in the modal and only have one additional step of configuration. After this single configuration step, your new field is created. The second area is around reusing an existing field on another content type. Previously, the list of available fields was presented as a select list within the Add Field UI. Now, reusing a field is in its own modal, and instead of a simple list with no explanation of what the fields are or where else they are used, a table with all this relevant context is presented. These changes were first built as prototypes, with some aspects hard-coded and definitely not up to core coding standards. The prototypes were then validated by new rounds of user testing, tweaked, and retested. Once we were confident in the approach, Drupal core issues were created, and work began on cleaning up the prototype code and making them proper merge requests. The change to reusing fields was the first major improvement to land in Drupal core, which happened in April. Incremental improvements continued to be committed every few weeks, with only one remaining piece yet to be finalized. All told, we went from ideation through delivery in just over 8 months, with confidence at each step that we were making improvements that would benefit users. There have been over 45 commits to Drupal core improving the field UI as a direct result of this work. Much of it is already available in Drupal 10.1, and we look forward to sharing the final result in Drupal 10.2. Thanks to all who contributed to this effort.
There you go, yeah. These are some really great improvements, and then also, as Tim alluded to, the speed at which we've been able to make those improvements have been really great as well. Much better than maybe in the past. Next, I have another video. In this video, we're going to give you an overview of the admin UI and the work we're doing by Christina.
Customize the administration toolbar to make it easier to use. As a result, we decided to work on a new toolbar that will eventually replace the existing toolbar in Drupal core with the goal of enhancing the user experience of the admin interface in Drupal. This will make Drupal easier and more enjoyable to use for villagers. We're planning to move most of the main admin navigation functionality into a left vertical sidebar and a possible top bar with contextual tools based on where you are. We based our initial designs and prototypes on research of competitors, industry standards, and previous UX studies on the topic. But we also were able to gather insights from contributed modules and admin themes to inform our direction. We built a prototype with hardcode links, and we'll use that for usability tests to gather feedback from content users and site builders. We've done multiple rounds of usability tests, and we've iterated the prototypes based on the results, which has led us to several changes and improvements from the initial assumptions. Based on testing, we are confident that the new toolbar designs offer a better experience than the old core toolbar. In terms of where we are right now, we are working on several aspects. We are in the process of converting the initial hardcode links into real menus so we can have an alpha release for people to test. And in addition, we are working on improving the administration menus by rethinking the words that we use on the groupings. For example, we are testing a proposal to create a new content creation menu with direct links to create content. But we also want to improve the existing administration menu to make it easier for any user to understand where they are, regardless of their experience with Drupal. We also found that the initial left navigation wasn't addressing all the needs that we had for integrations, so we're working with a suggestion coming from Jean, which is a top toolbar that will show contextual content. We're also in the process of testing the initial mobile designs, as well as validating that the new toolbar is accessible, now that the markup is almost done. So far, a lot of people has helped move this forward, but I would love to highlight how companies have aligned the efforts to bring innovation to Drupal. We invite everyone to help at the contribution from this week, both with code and testing. Your input and feedback are valuable to us as we continue to improve this part of Drupal. This won't be in Drupal 10.2 as the code freezes in a month's time, so we're currently targeting Drupal 10.3. But you can test it on the content namespace navigation where the development is taking part, and Jean has just launched an experimental feature so you can also test it.
Yeah. Very exciting. All right. Recognizing the importance of gathering insight directly from the ambitious villagers, Drupal entrusted Laurie, one of the council members in Drupal Village, to conduct a census survey of villagers near and far. And Laurie engaged with the Drupal villagers in order to delve into their experiences, their desires and suggestions to further improve the builder experience. And so this effort aims to make sure that many voices were heard and every need was considered. So let's take a look at what the consensus revealed.
Hey, I'm Lauri Eskola, one of the Drupal Core product managers. I'm here to talk about improvements to Drupal's page building experience. Earlier this year, we started hearing some rumors. Many of the villagers were talking about challenges they were having with Drupal's page building experience. Because of this, we decided to do some research to figure out if there was something that we could do to improve this. For the past couple of months, we've been talking to Drupal users and agencies to learn how they are using the tools that are currently available in the market. Quick into the process, we learned that we were not talking about one solution, but multiple, and the trade-offs between the different solutions were hard. Because of this, the goal of the research became to understand what are the common requirements across different solutions and what are the different challenges people were having. We talked to more than 30 people as part of this process. We tried to get people from various different kinds of backgrounds, and we ended up getting people from 16 different organizations, from large enterprises to freelancers. We're grateful to everyone who contributed their time and shared their insights as part of this. We learned about many of the complexities site builders faced with the different solutions. We learned there are hard trade-offs between things like a good editor experience or choosing a solution that scaled better for their site, or how much time it took to set up. We also learned that many of the organizations had made significant investments to improve the user experience for their users. We also spent time testing competing solutions to better understand what our competition is like. We learned how easy to use and easy to set up many of the solutions in the market are. Based on these findings, we have worked on a vision for a next-generation page building tool for Drupal. We want to build a tool that is as flexible and powerful as the tools we have now, but would not require site builders to weigh between multiple options. A single solution that is easy for site builders to set up. A solution that editors find intuitive to use, enabling them to get started without significant onboarding. Let's take a look at some of the mockups that we have created for visualizing how this new experience could look like. We need to start by designing a UI that editors love to use. We want to make sure that the editors can intuitively do all of the common tasks, such as adding new blocks. We've heard building pages is often an iterative process. You might not know exactly what you are building up front. So for this reason, we want to make sure that editors have enough flexibility to change content even after it has been created, like changing the ordering of the sections or changing the number of columns in a section. To extend our competitive advantage around structured data, the page building experience should not feel like it's a layer on top of the existing tooling. Instead, it should be integrated as part of the experience, allowing editors to edit both the page layout and the structured fields through a single UI. We want to combine together the most powerful features from different solutions. One of these is a library of pre-configured sections. This enables editors to add sections that have already blocks placed inside the sections. We're still in a very early stage and there's a lot of work that needs to be done. One of the next steps is to decide which of the solutions that we want to use as the starting point. Based on the amount of interest we've seen towards this, I believe this is something we can achieve if we as a community work on this together. We have a BOF later today, so join us there or come say hi at the Layouts channel on Drupal Slack.
Yeah. Thank you, Tim and Laurie and Christine, for all their leadership and great work. It's exciting to see a lot of these things come to life, and it's also exciting to see how the process that we use has matured. You know, lots of user testing, ability to move faster, all of these things are pretty encouraging, I think. So great work all around. All right, so overflowing with enthusiasm for Laurie's plan, Drupal gathered the entire village. In front of all the villagers, Drupal made a big announcement, the launch of Next Generation Page Builder as a strategic initiative. This initiative would shape the future of their builder experience. Lastly, enamored by the whimsical, magical maintenance fairies encountered on the journey, Drupal wanted to bring that touch of magic into Drupal Village. Drupal firmly believed that having maintenance fairies of its own would alleviate many of the burdens of manual upkeep and maintenance. This would allow the village to thrive with greater ease and efficiency. Now, we have already made a lot of improvements to making Drupal easier to upgrade, starting with our new release model and new innovation model all the way back in Drupal 8, so maybe it's not that new anymore. But that new model of innovation and doing releases really helped make it a lot easier to upgrade core, but also helped to make it a lot easier to upgrade contributed modules. In addition to that, we've seen innovations like Rector, that Tiffany mentioned just earlier, but it essentially allows you to do automatic code updates or code fixes, especially around deprecated APIs. And then obviously, as many of you know, we have a strategic initiative called automatic updates, which is essentially adding automatic updates functionality to Drupal core. That initiative is going well. It's making great progress. There's a few things that need to happen, but again, due to the freeze date of Drupal 10.2, most likely this will go in Drupal 10.3. Maybe there's a very, very small chance we can still get it in 10.2, but just to set expectations, let's assume that this will make it into Drupal 10.3. And all of these things combined will continue to make it easier and easier for people to upgrade and maintain their Drupal sites, something that we've now been working on for many years. But I can tell you that every year it gets a little bit easier. On that note, as probably many of you know, in 3 weeks or so, Drupal 9 reaches its end of life. That means Drupal 9 websites will have to upgrade to Drupal 10 in sort of the next 3 weeks or next month. And that obviously requires contributed modules to be Drupal 10 compatible. The good news here is that only 2.6%, or let's call it 3%, of contributed modules, yeah. Yeah, this is huge, you know, like roughly 3% of contributed modules or projects, I should say, are not ready for Drupal 10. But with that, I want to say thank you, huge gratitude to those module maintainers or project maintainers that have already upgraded their modules to Drupal 10. And then if you are a maintainer of a project that does not have a Drupal 10 release, please consider upgrading it. Chances are there is an end user or multiple end users or sometimes many end users that eagerly want to upgrade and might not be able to because there is not a stable release or a tagged stable release of your module. So if you have the time, and if you can, please upgrade your modules to Drupal 10 as fast as possible so that people can upgrade to Drupal 10. That would be really good for Drupal. All right, with all these plans underway, Fields UI, Admin UI, Page Builder, Project Browser, automatic updates, and more, Drupal was excited. Drupal unfurled a piece of parchment and wrote down the builder experience. Easier to start, easier to build, easier to maintain. And it was more than just words. It was a vow, a beacon of hope destined to lift the spirits of the Drupal villagers. But upon looking up from the parchment, Drupal saw dark clouds over Drupal village. The Drupal village had become dark, and just when Drupal seemed to be done, a new problem arose. So this is the start of chapter 2, if you will, or quest 2. Curious what happens next? Yeah, me too. All right. Drupal was worried that the village was shrouded in dark clouds, casting a veil of darkness over its thriving community. It was hard to see, but Drupal could discern shadowy figures responsible for these dark clouds. They were the proponents of the closed web, advocates for vendor lock-in, proprietary software, data misuse, a desire for centralization, and walled gardens. And Drupal felt helpless, frustrated, and confused, and couldn't believe some old friends, and some new friends too, were trapped or were getting their pockets emptied in order to build their dreams. And that night, Drupal was restless in bed. And in the quiet of the night, Drupal was visited by a fairy godfather. The fairy godfather was none other than Tim Berners-Lee, the creator of the World Wide Web. And Tim Berners-Lee spoke with wisdom and reassurance. Do not abandon your mission, Drupal. Remember, you are the champion of the open web. And the words of the fairy godfather, Tim Berners-Lee, resonated deeply within Drupal. His words reaffirmed what Drupal had always known deep inside, that it is possible to help builders without all the drawbacks that Drupal had seen in the other villages, that it was possible to resist the dark forces of the closed web. And for the open web, Drupal realized, was indeed a noble cause worth defending and developing. And in the morning, with newfound determination, Drupal wasted no time. Drupal penned the Open Web Manifesto, a declaration of unwavering commitment to an open and accessible web for all. The Open Web Manifesto is a document that we released in the past few months after DrupalCon Pittsburgh. It's an important document for Drupal, so I would encourage you all to read it. You can find it on the link here. It's on the Drupal.org website. But it's an important document because it's essentially a promise. It's a promise that Drupal will always be built on freedom, decentralization, inclusion, participation, and empowerment. It comes from a belief that everyone should be able to have a presence on the web. And it comes from a belief that you don't need permission to learn, build, or advance the web. That everyone in the world regardless of background, identity, ability, wealth, or status, can have a home on the open web. It's also based on a belief that the web should be truly decentralized and not controlled by a few, and a belief that we need to protect, not exploit, personal data. It's about a pro-privacy web. And so, yeah, I encourage you to go read that document, because I do think it's very important for Drupal. And so back to the story. So Drupal now has made two promises. Drupal promised to improve the builder experience and to champion the open web. And with these two promises made, Drupal felt confident the villagers would finally be happy. Drupal would equip the villagers with better tools and easier tools. Plus, Drupal had wholeheartedly renewed its commitment to the principles of the open web. Yet, beneath the newfound confidence, a lingering feeling of unease persisted. The dark clouds of the closed web still obscured the Drupal village, and in fact, they had grown darker and denser, and the dark clouds formed an impenetrable shield. The thick clouds concealed the Drupal village and its bustling activities from curious builders around. And as a result, few people knew about the village and what was going on there, and even fewer people were moving in. Then, Drupal had a thought. During the journey to other villages, Drupal had heard tales of mystical sorcerers. Legends told of their powers, powers that helped the other villages. And Drupal believed that they could lift the dark clouds that were hiding Drupal's village. And the good news is, I have 3 of them here in the room. So let's invite them on stage. Yeah. They're called the Drupal Marketing Committee. Yeah. Now let me set the stage a little bit for you. But as you might recall, if you paid attention to DrupalCon Pittsburgh, the Drupal Association has decided to focus on 3 strategic initiatives. And actually, this is something that we ratified shortly after Pittsburgh. But innovation, we're going to invest a lot more in innovation, which I showed some of you, or some of it. Second, we made a commitment to invest in marketing. And that's what we'll be talking about. And then the third piece is philanthropy, trying to raise more money to invest back in Drupal. And so the marketing committee is one of the committees that we created in recent months. And I have some of the marketing committee here on stage. And yeah, let's do a quick Q&A. And I'm going to start with asking each of you to quickly introduce yourself.
So bonjour, I'm Lynn Capozzi. I'm the former CEO of Acquia, a CMO, sorry. And, well, that was a little Freudian, huh? Well, I'm the former CMO of Acquia. I'm happy to say and proud to say that I joined the board of the Drupal Association this past year. And I think I've been a Drupal villager for a little over 13 years.
I'm Suzanne Degacheva. I'm one of the co-founders of Evolving Web, a Drupal agency. And I'm also the lead of the Promote Drupal initiative. And I've moved into the Drupal village about 15 years ago.
Hi, I'm Nikhil Deshpande. I'm the Chief Digital and AI Officer with the state of Georgia. Been a Drupal villager for about 12 years and introduced Drupal within the state. And today we are the official CMS for the state in form of the official system that we built or any other individual site that an agency needs to host.
Perfect, thank you. Lynn, I'll start with a question for you. Tell us a little bit more about the marketing committee, because there's more than 3 people on the marketing committee.
Yeah, there are lots of different marketing sorcerers. We only had 3 robes, so we stuck with us today. But the marketing committee actually is a great collaboration between members of the board. So myself and Nikhil and Raul has contributed a great deal as well. Many other board members are coming to marketing committee meetings. We've roped in Batty a couple of times to come join us, as well as collaboration with Suzanne, and she'll talk about the Promote Drupal group, as well as many other members of the community and our great partners and agencies that are out there. So a lot of people are involved, and the whole point of the committee is to figure out how do we do some marketing around Drupal, the product? Because I do feel like, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, Dries, but you know, we as the Drupal Association, we haven't really done hardcore product marketing from Drupal in I don't know, ever?
Ever,
maybe?
probably, yeah.
Right. So it's nice to kind of focus on it. I mean, we as companies and agencies that focus on our companies and what we provide. But this is going to be a vehicle for us to create actually a marketing plan. And my goal is to make that word not be, to get it off the nasty list for a lot of you, that it's not really a nasty thing. It can be a great thing that we can do marketing. So messaging and positioning and some real programs that we're going to work on. So I'll just give you one example that's kind of near and dear to my heart based on my kids' age. I'd love to be able to have a new program to work with the universities around the world, and I do mean globally. So wouldn't it be nice if we have programs where encouraging people that are coming up through college and through the universities to have more exposure to Drupal, right? And other programs that we'll talk about, but it also means like our goal is to be able to provide things like a marketing playbook. So we give to everyone, we figure out how to get it translated into all the languages that we need to, and then you have what's the messaging, what's the positioning, what should you use for the slides, and so forth. So even some basic things like that, so we get some uniformity. So that the goal being obviously that we develop and try to get more people into the Drupal village, and probably more people and make them great contributors, and look at building a community of Drupal villagers as well that are on the marketing side that maybe we haven't had great exposure to in the past.
Yeah, thank you. Suzanne, people know you from many things, but one of the things people know you from is Promote Drupal. It's also a marketing initiative, if you will. So maybe it's useful to talk a little bit about Promote Drupal and how it relates to the marketing committee.
Yeah, so Promote Drupal is part of the Drupal community. We're members of the Drupal community. And we're mostly designers, marketers, copywriters who are passionate about Drupal. And as you might know, the Drupal Association is a small and mighty team, and they need help from the community to produce marketing materials. So we're working very closely with them, and being part of the marketing committee will help us really align our efforts and make sure that we're all working together, and also make sure that the community really has a voice, because we're such an essential part of the Drupal project and in creating the Drupal product. So the product marketing should really flow organically from the community's efforts.
Yeah, excellent, thank you. I'm going to ask a few questions about why marketing, and Lynn already spoke to some of that, but you know, one could argue that Drupal has survived all these years, 20-something years, without too much marketing. So why invest in marketing now, right? Like, why has marketing become important for Drupal's success? So, Nikhil, you want to start?
Yeah, so I've been on both sides of the table, and about 13 years ago, when I was looking for a content management system back then to replace a closed source content management system, also bleeding a lot of my budget behind it, and not a great product. I did research and looked up Drupal and was immediately convinced that this was indeed, you know, the right choice, and made the move. But I feel like today, if I were to do that, I feel like the landscape has expanded, and it has just absolutely been cluttered by so many options and so many loud voices, right? I get weekly phone calls or emails. A lot of them start out by saying, we know your association with Drupal, but here's what we offer. So they are very aggressive. And I think it's a testament to the product that it has sustained, it has survived all these years without marketing. But I think in this day and age, I think marketing is important. It is very important to spread that word about the village. It is also very important to convey that it's easy for a single person or a small business to move and build something, and it's also equally safe and trustworthy for someone to move their large enterprise and build, you know, their mansion or their mall. So I think of all the times, building those advocates, building those champions is very important, and that's what we're hoping to build as a script for everyone to take away and, you know, be those foot soldiers for Drupal.
I love that. Yeah, thanks for sharing. Suzanne, you own an agency. You help run an agency. How do you think this will help agencies, not just your agency, obviously, but all of the Drupal agencies in the world? Any thoughts on that?
Absolutely. So like many of you who are agency leaders, we're often pitching Drupal to new clients. And some of those clients are already sold on Drupal. They know the benefits. Maybe they're already using it. But wouldn't it be great if we could all sell Drupal more to newcomers to the village, to people who haven't been convinced of Drupal yet? And in that way, really expand the market for Drupal. And I find, I speak to a lot of agency leaders. I know we are already doing this. We're already all producing material about why you should use Drupal, and we're putting that up on our websites. We're using it in sales pitches. But if we all come together and create that solid base of product marketing for Drupal as a whole, and people can find that when they're researching Drupal, when they're doing their background research, when they're deciding on a technology, I think it will be so much more powerful. And as agencies come together, we can really create something that's even better than what we can do on our own.
Yeah, I've definitely had agency owners and agency leaders more broadly come to me and ask me things like, well, we're up against a competitor X. How do we, best win against this competitor? And like that comes down to having the right marketing materials, the right understanding of the strengths and weaknesses of the competitor, et cetera, et cetera. So that's all things that we can add. Lynn, your entire professional career has been in marketing. Any other thoughts on like why marketing now?
I just think the timing is really good for us. I think, we have this awesome product with D10. There's lots of excitement about it. I think we're much more competitive than we've ever been on the product side. And I think that kind of coupled with what's happening and how many people need this full DXP capability, I think it opens up just new doors of opportunity for us. And I will say, personally, I think it's time for us to just do a little bit of a refresh in terms of the brand and the look and a little bit more modern. It doesn't mean throw everything away, but it just means maybe make some tweaks on things to make it just a touch more modern.
It's a good segue, actually. So let's talk a little bit about what kind of things we would do, right? Maybe Suzanne, you want to start? What can people expect when we're going to do more marketing?
So I think you can expect big changes. I want to be ambitious here. I think you'll see changes on the visual side in terms of the Drupal brand. I think you'll also see changes in terms of the user experience when you come to Drupal.org. We really want to orient Drupal's marketing around external users, people who are discovering Drupal for the first time. And that might mean that when you come to Drupal.org, you're no longer the primary audience, that we're speaking more to these newcomers. And so I hope you'll notice the changes, and I hope you'll like what you see, and you'll be really as excited about it as we are.
Yeah, Lynn, any other thoughts on what people can expect?
Yeah, so we are working on a complete marketing plan right now. We expect to have that in about the December timeframe. And quick shout out to Tim Doyle for just having a great job of he and his staff working on driving this plan. So I'm really excited about it. So we'll see that in December. I think the other things that we'll see is, as Suzanne said, we already have a lot of things that are in the works. So one of the biggest things that I'm excited about right now is we have a collaborative effort together. 5 organizations, the Drupal Association, and 4 different partners. So it's Acquia, it's Phase 2, it's FFW, and 1X Internet. And the group got together, and by some funding that was pooled together, we're going as a team to the Web Summit in Spain. This is about, I don't know, what do we say, maybe 70,000 people? Mm-hmm. Yesterday, I may have exaggerated that a little bit, but I think it's actually like 70,000 or so people from around the world. It's kind of a new audience for us. And the whole booth and the whole going to that event will all be based on Drupal. So it's not just the individual agencies and partners. It is about highlighting and talking about Drupal and showing the advantages of Drupal, backed up with some great, obviously great use cases and so forth. So this is just, I think, the tip of the iceberg in terms of what we can do for these types of shows and events to go to together. And it really shows the power of us as a community when we band together and when we can get multiple partners working together. So stay tuned. We'll see how it goes. It may not be perfect, but I think it'll be a good kind of start to the companies working together and see what that means. And hopefully will just be more global exposure for Drupal.
Awesome. Nikhil, you're obviously an end user of Drupal as the state of Georgia with, I don't even know how many websites now, but more than 100, right? Maybe in your mind, what should people like you, end users, know about Drupal? What would convince you to adopt Drupal? just to give the audience a little flavor of what that might look like.
So as an end user, the state obviously hosts large websites like the Department of Revenue, Labor, Driver Services, where we have daily interactions like in the millions, right? But also we host smaller websites for like a little lake or a little, commission with like 5 people on it. And I think it's very important for us to convey that message to larger organizations that, we need to, if not build further that trust that, even if someone can afford one of those larger options that is very expensive, it is 2 things that really kind of, trust is built upon. One is the intention, and the other is the, the overall competence of that product. Obviously, we have seen what an amazing product we are all rallying behind, so the competency is obviously proven. But the other part, as far as the intention, which is the open web, I think it's very important for larger organizations who can afford to invest in this, and then not only just invest for their own betterment, but at that point, then just to turn around and contribute it and make the entire ecosystem better. So I feel like the education is still not there. We have come a long way, at least in like the last 13 years that I have seen, we have come a very long way. But I still feel that there needs to be a lot of these conversations that need to be had for larger organizations to realize that, wait, open web is a good idea. And just because something is open source, it is not going to put me at risk. Because larger organizations tend to be a lot more risk averse than maybe smaller organizations. So it is okay because we have such a great agency community, partner community that can support this product and that can help organizations go through whatever the transition they're looking for. So really the key message should be for those larger folks to be, we'll build those bridges to move into the Drupal village.
Yeah, nice, very good. As Lynn mentioned, we're currently working on a plan. And by the end of the year, as Lynn mentioned, we're going to have a plan, and then we're going to have to switch from planning to, let's say, execution. And maybe for Suzanne, like at that point, we're going to want to move beyond the marketing committee, so to speak, and get many more people involved. Any thoughts on how that might work?
Yeah, so I think we can take a lot of inspiration from the code contribution that's happened in Drupal at such a scale. And I think one of the keys to success for that has really been the tooling and the processes that have been developed around contributing to Drupal. And so we need to do the same thing for marketing. And I know a lot of you are working at agencies and you have this expertise, you have this skill set, you're already using tools. And so we'd love to get you involved to help us scale up in that way. And I think also from code contribution, we see a lot of passionate individuals. You saw them speaking up on the screen earlier. And so we need those of you who are really passionate about Drupal and have this background of marketing, content, design. Promote Drupal is the #1 way for you to contribute really meaningfully to Drupal, I think, right now. So if you're looking for that opportunity, we also need those individuals to really step up and get involved.
Excellent, thank you. What's next for Drupal marketing? On the screen, you can see a timeline with some of the next kind of milestones. We're going to do more events. We are going to finalize our marketing plan in December. And then you should start to see updates on the brand come to life next year, Q1, Q2. And then around May, we hope to have a preview of an updated website available. We'll see how that's tracking, but that's kind of where we are and what we hope to do next. So please, a big thank you for the marketing sorcerers. And yeah, thank you very much. Very good, thank you. Exciting. I'm excited about marketing. You have to remember, all of our competitors, some of the villages we visited, they have big marketing budgets. We've never had that in Drupal. And we're going to try and do some marketing ourselves. And I love what Suzanne said as well, because if you think about what we've done on the code side of Drupal, we've built one of the most amazing engineering kind of organizations with tens of thousands of people contributing to the technical side of Drupal. Imagine we can build something similar on the marketing side of Drupal. You know, we could truly do something very spectacular and very unique that no other open source project has done. So I'm very excited about where this might lead, and I'm grateful for the Drupal Association and the Marketing Committee for kicking off a lot of that work. So to wrap up this presentation, in this presentation, Drupal has essentially made 3 impactful promises, right? An improved builder experience. We are dedicated to improving our builder and editor experience. We pledged our support for the open web to support a more accessible and inclusive digital future. And then we are committed to investing in marketing to shine a bright light on your work, actually. Think about that also. Like, the goal is to highlight and spotlight the work that all of you are doing and to amplify our impact in the world. So, with these 3 powerful promises in hand, Drupal's future appeared brighter and more promising than ever before. As the clouds were gradually pushed back, Drupal Village began to emerge as the most exciting place to be an ambitious villager. And Drupal's heart soared as the ambitious young builder returned to the Drupal Village. And that's my story for today. And now we get to write the next chapter together, and maybe at a future DrupalCon, I'll read you chapter 3 and chapter 4. But those chapters, they start today here at DrupalCon with you, and we need your help. And many of you, all of you, can help in one way or another. For site builders, there are many sessions that you can attend that cover the topics in this story. I'll show them to you in a second. You can participate in sprints. If you have never contributed, we will teach you how. Just come to the mentoring days and the sprints. For marketers, there's also many great sessions to attend. Plus, you can help us by submitting case studies. You can contribute marketing materials. Many of you have marketing materials in your organization that you could choose to open source and contribute. We can also help usability test the upcoming redesign of Drupal.org that I mentioned. There's a link here that you can follow to do that. It takes not that much time. And here's actually an overview of some of the sessions. You can see sessions on the admin UI that Christina showed. The initiative leads keynote is a great session to attend as well. There's going to be an update on the project browser. There's going to be an update and a session on automatic updates. So you can see lots of great sessions and actually many more, all happening this week. So please do get involved. And thank you for listening. In the next week or so, I'll post my slides and video on my blog, as I always do. And yeah, with that, I want to say thank you. And please join us for the group photo. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Dries. Thank you again, everyone. With that, let's all gather ourselves up, gather our stuff together. Again, the group photo is happening on the main stairs right at registration where you came in. Please try and move together quickly, make some friends. We'll get the photo done, make it part of our proud history of DrupalCons, and then get on to the content. Thank you again.